So we are very pleased to be invited to your new and beautiful offices today.
Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, please let me introduce our talk shows, the TankFocus. TankFocus is the talk shows that is aimed to invite the key of the leaders of the supply chain for tank containers,
Okay.
like your guys, because we do believe your guys are innovative and transform the industries into the right directions. By doing so, we can share your views and ideas and experience to all our audience. And we would like to establish a bridge from the China market to Asian market and to European market.
Okay.
So that's what we are doing. So before we formally started, could you please, Karl, give an introduction of yourself and the HOYER Group?
An introduction to the HOYER Group. HOYER is a German headquartered logistics group, specializes in chemical logistics, has 5 pillars of operations really: the global ISO tank business, the specialized logistics service, the Kotak cleaning services, a very, very large road and intermodal business, and also some flexi tanks as well. Started business in 1946 and is one of the leading operators in the world. Myself, I've worked in the chemical logistics industry for 35 years, dominantly in Europe, and I've spent the last 7 years in China.
Well,
And joined HOYER in the first part of 2025.
good. So we have the ideas of the background of our today's talk shows. So as we are now in China, so we have to focus on the China market.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So my first question will be about the strategic positions. So what has been your company's recent resource investment in the Chinese market?
Well, HOYER sees China as a key market. China is the world's largest manufacturer of chemicals, and it will continue to grow. So HOYER see it as a key market for the future. In terms of physical assets, because of the state of the sort of economy or the global economy, we've not invested in any tank containers in the past couple of years, but we continue to invest in our people and also invest in the new offices and keep investing in China as a market. In the broader Asia sense, we've been expanding our depot network in Southeast Asia. We continue to invest in Singapore, where we've extended for another 20 years. And it looks like we're going to increase our capacity in Vietnam. And we've got 1 or 2 other investments ongoing in the Asia region, but they're unfortunately confidential at the moment, so we can't speak too much about those.
Okay. So how you think of the Asian market? I mean, like what you say, that the tank depots is a very, what's the difference comparing to the European depots?
That's a difficult question. And I think that depends on geography, really. I mean, we're all aware of the challenges that have been in certain geographies recently on, for instance, Korea not having enough depot capacity.
Yeah.
And that's constrained people's operations in Korea. I think in general in Asia there is probably a shortage of depots. So that may or may not be an opportunity. I think one of the other fundamental differences that I personally see between Asia and Europe is that many of the depots in Europe have a drive-through facility, wash facility. In Asia, you don't tend to see that as much. And that kind of drive-through facility in Europe facilitates the kind of the ability to drive to a location, clean out the tank while it is on the back of the truck, and then reload in that particular location. So I think that's possibly an area that may or may not develop in Asia.
Because as international companies, when you guys come to the China market, you're always thinking, well, China market is quite complex, particularly about some regulations. So my question will be, well, for the China's hazardous chemical regulations, I think they are still evolving. So how does this impact your network layout?
I think there are probably more regulations in China than there are in Europe. That's what we find. But I think as HOYER we try to comply with all the relevant regulations. The what we try to do is maintain the high compliance standards. I think sometimes there are certain hauliers or certain competitors in the Chinese market who their standards may not be as high as we would like. So we have to be quite mindful when we're picking our supplier base that they are compliant. And I think that is that's a natural evolution. I think as time goes on, these less compliant companies will actually exit the market, because that's what, over the length of my career, that's what I've seen in Europe. So the compliance levels tend to go up, and the non-compliant companies tend to exit the market because they don't want to bear the costs of compliance, or they don't want to bear the complexity of compliance. So that's how I see that happening. I think it's going to take a while. It'll take a while. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be quick.
It'll be a very quick process.
No, I don't think so.
More than like 5 years or even 10 years to.
Could be 5, 10 years. Could be longer.
Okay. Okay. So also about the China market, here we are also facing very fierce competitions.
Yeah.
Like, of course, customers always look for a better price or even for a low price. So we're facing the price competitions from local small companies.
Yeah.
So how does your companies balance your global services standard with Chinese market cost expectations?
Again, it's very challenging. I think that as HOYER, we don't want to be the cheapest, and frankly we can't be the cheapest. So I think that we have to focus on the type of customers that we want to work with. And the type of customers that we want to work with are the customers who want value, who are not just interested in price, but they want a value proposition. So that value proposition includes high compliance with health and safety, the right price, and the right service. And we see that as the sort of triangle of value. So we have to, those customers who are entirely focused on price, we can't work with. It's just that simple. So we have to pick quite carefully the customer base that we choose, and that's an ongoing process.
But let's take an example that if there is a customer, they have a very huge volumes, but they look for a very low and a lower price. Will you reconsider it?
Well, I think ultimately we have to make the company sustainable. And the cornerstone of sustainability for any company is profit and cash. And if we can find a way to make that business profitable and cash positive, we will try and work with the customer. But I go back to my earlier point. We're interested in working with customers who want value. And as I say, value includes safety, it includes price, and it includes service. So we've got to be quite careful on how we step into those markets, because the last thing we want to do is step into a market that is wholly price driven and compromise on any of the other points that I've mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So what I understand from your points is the values, not the low cost, but also provides customers other things like the safe taste, like the technology, and also like some support to them.
It's a mix, and it's a mix of how there are other ways to drive down costs in the supply chain. We can do things like we can increase the payload. So we're working with some customers now to look at how can we do that. So rather than looking at just the price for the A to B movement, we can do things like increase the payload. We can talk about the utilization of the assets, and can we turn the assets more quickly. So overall the customer needs less assets involved in their business, and I think that is where the supply chains are going to go in China. Again, with my experience, I saw a lot of that in Europe, where supply chains evolve and people start focusing on different things. And there's still value to be unlocked in the supply chain, but we've got to look harder at how we find that value, really.
Customers in China, because in serving both international and Chinese chemical clients, we see a significant difference in their core demands. Like Chinese customers, they are more focused on the transport costs and the supply chain resilience. But in Europe, they are focused on the ESGs and other things. So how does your company balance these needs?
Well, we adapt our services to meet the diverse needs of our customers around the world. We've got a very large fleet. We recently got EcoVadis Gold, so sustainability is a big issue for us. And as I say, we adapt around the world and to our customers' needs in those particular geographical regions. I would challenge the idea a little bit that only European companies are interested in sustainability. I think that increasingly Chinese customers are interested in it, and the government in China obviously has targets around carbon neutrality by 2060, I believe. 2060, and I think some huge steps have been made in China towards that goal.
Yes, the Chinese government decided to make efforts and invest monies to improve the carbon dioxide emissions in the whole industries. So that's what we are doing now. Yes. So, and then about our futures, like innovation and collaborations strategies. When I read your annual report published, and in the report they said with the booming demand for new energy materials like lithium and semiconductors, so HOYER has made a lot of efforts in the innovation side. So could you elaborate this subject?
Yeah, I think in terms of we agree that the new energy sector and the sort of demand for semiconductors, the AI data centers, is going to drive growth into the logistics sector and also the chemical sector. So we already have a big fleet of kind of line tanks that can deal with these high purity acids, the high purity gases, and we deploy that around the world as and when necessary. And we can work with the customers to make sure that the linings are correct, and we're doing that on a constant process. But as I say, we have a big fleet already, so we can deal with that. I think on some of the other new energy areas, we are working quite closely with a number of customers at the moment to develop solutions both in China and in Europe. But again, unfortunately, it's confidential. We can't discuss it. But they are the supply chains that need building are actually quite complex. They're quite complex, and they're quite demanding, both for the logistics companies and the producers, so that they can meet the kind of exacting requirements of the new energy sector. Okay. So we see that both as a challenge and a big opportunity.
Challenge and opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. We see it on both sides. It's challenging. It's challenging. It's an opportunity. In terms of HOYER, those are exactly the types of logistic challenges that we want to work with.
Yes. Yeah, you are true, because when I went to the factories like CIMC or NTs, every time I see special tanks, that is from HOYER. So you are very an expert on the special tanks, linings and gas tanks.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes, that's true. So another question about this side is, have you collaborated with key clients in this field to jointly develop some transport networks and standards?
Yes. Yeah, we're working on a couple of projects now. Again, unfortunately, they're confidential, but we know what the supply chains look like. Okay. And they are, as I say, they're complex, and they're challenging not only the customer, but they're challenging HOYER and they're challenging our suppliers as well, because it needs a different way of thinking about how business is done. But again, this loops back to the topics we were discussing earlier, that if we look at these things in a different way, we are still able to drive costs out of the supply chain. But that's because the customers that we're talking to, they are giving us much more insight into their demands and their price pressures, so that because we can see more of their supply chain, we can help to drive the costs out.
Okay. So when I read your annual report this year published, I see you have a strong team of the experts and engineers in headquarters. And they're focusing on the materials and designing some special tanks and provide solutions. So does that mean HOYER has transferred your focus on the special tanks rather than the normal tanks?
No, I don't think so. I think that with HOYER, we have to follow our customers' demands, like all customers do. Sorry, like all companies do who want to be successful. And I think the standard ISO tank market for general chemicals is always going to be there. But what we're seeing at the moment is, I think we're seeing a shift in the global flows. There's a lot of volatility in the market at the moment. So what we're trying to do as HOYER is we're constantly trying to refocus our activities so that we can make the company sustainable for the next 3-4 generations. And the new energy sectors, they're clearly going to drive growth in the future. But the commodity chemicals are still going to be there. So we don't see it as an either or. We see it as a complementary strategy. We see it as complementary rather than in conflict. And that is it's a good way to leverage our expertise as well.
So it's a complementary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We also can offer a kind of full logistics solution on the IBCs. So it's not just about giving the customer the IBC and saying, there, you get on with it. We can offer the full logistics service where we're saying to the customers, we can help you deliver the IBCs, we can track them, and then we can bring them back to the customer. And the objective of the logistics service is to actually reduce the number of IBCs that the customer has in their supply chain. So again, this comes back to increasing the utilization of the assets, which drives down costs and then increases the value for the customers.
Okay, so besides to the IBC and ISO tanks, I saw the news that HOYER invested in flexi bag factories in Thailand or
Malaysia.
In Malaysia.
In Malaysia, yeah.
Can you please elaborate that?
Not really, no. I mean, if I'm honest, the flexi tank business isn't an area of expertise. I mean, we see it as just another area of the supply chain where we can support our customers. So we have in China, for example, the customers that we serve with the flexi tank business, they are a different set of customers to the customers that we serve on the ISO tank business. So it broadens our offering, which spreads our risk. Certain products are just more suited to flexi bags, and the one that springs to mind is latex. Latex is it's a difficult product to handle in tank containers. It's difficult to clean. Yeah, but it works with flexi tanks. It works really well. So it's kind of finding the right equipment and the right mode to service the customer base, and that's how we kind of try and look at our business.
So the next question is about the rail transport between China and Europe. According to your annual report in 2024, the rail transport mileage for tank containers within Europe exceeded that of the road transportations.
Yeah.
And your company also operates over 1,300 trucks in Europe.
Yeah.
So how does rail transport in Europe differ from that in Asia?
Again, rail isn't my area of expertise. I mean, rail in Europe is long established for sort of intermodal and chemical transport, and HOYER is invested in some of the rail companies, also invested in the rail terminals. So it's a big area of our business in Europe, and it's an area that we will continue to be involved in. I think rail in China is more challenging. I think the rail link between China and Europe is difficult to make sense of economically, particularly with the shipping rates where they are at the moment. And also the big challenge for a lot of rail in China is DG access. And it's not easy to get DG access to the China railways. Having said all of that, we have been involved in rail in China. The China Railway, they did increase the maximum weight to 35 tons for non-DG equipment. But again, the DG options on rail in China are very restricted. But what we do want to do is we're happy to work with China Rail to see if we can help develop that, because we do see it as a way forward, and we see it as a way to get transport off the road. And again, it supports China government's objectives to get to carbon neutrality by 2060. So we see it as an area that we can help develop with our expertise from Europe.
The last question is about the TCDAs. As a corporate service platform, so what's your suggestion and expectations for the TCDAs?
I think the TCDA does a good job in China. I think the initiative that we're currently involved in talking to the industry leaders and sharing our experiences is important. And you know, the conferences that you have in China and in Asia, I think they make a difference to the industry, because the industry needs to, it needs expertise, it needs insight, and sharing what can be shared between industry colleagues is always useful. So generally, I think the TCDA does a good job.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay.
So thank you for your time, Karl.
Thank you for your time as well. Thanks for that.
Thank you.